This is Talk Over Common Sense, but we're not going to talk common sense up next. We're going to be talking about Meghan. Meghan, you remember her? Yeah, we don't in the news very often because she likes her private life, but the Duchess of Sussex is in the news after giving an interview with a US business magazine. What the hell they were talking to her about, who knows, that she was planning to step back to assess her new brand as ever. She's previously hinted she might never restock her jam because the first batch sold out within 45 minutes. Now, the first batch was, 60 jars? I don't know. But stepping back from a brand that you've only just launched suggests to me it's not been as successful as someone might have hoped. Let's talk to royal biographer, indeed royal biographer of her husband, Prince Harry, Angela Levin. A very, very good afternoon to you, Angela.
Hello.
It's all been such a success that she's already having to step back a bit. The reality is this has been an absolute joke of a brand, hasn't it?
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I was told by somebody they were only putting out 10 jars. So, of course, it would all go because I think she sold them to her friends.
I don't think she even sold it to her friends. I think they were all thought she sent it to them. They had no choice.
Yeah. Well, whatever way it was. So it's been a disaster. And one of the disasters was the packing, which she spent day after day. So she said, poor thing, packing it up the right way and the right colour. And it's cost an absolute fortune. So the whole thing has been a disaster. They spent a year planning it because we were waiting for months and months and nothing.
With bated breath, Angela, bated breath.
Well, anyway, so it's also no good. So the King's is much better, much cheaper, and he gives the amount of money to charity. So
with the Duchy, that's been a spectacular success, hasn't it? And I know there are quite a lot. I certainly did, but they did a lot of very nice tarts that were sold at my local supermarket. They're absolutely top notch. But there was some talk that she apparently was the view. I mean, she's got some podcast that's already finished where it's sort of like women found. I mean, I don't bother learning the names of these things because they never last that long. But basically about, business founders. And it's like, oh, sweetheart, you're not a founder of a business. You're just, it's a cottage industry. But she's had, most brands would dream of having this amount of publicity to launch a brand, front page of newspapers, got a Netflix series, you name it. And even then, she can't sell enough jam to keep herself in business.
She doesn't know anything about business. Nobody wanted to become the CEO of what she was making. And so she took it on because she is incredibly clever and always knows best. And she hasn't done it properly. So that's what it is. But I think the whole thing, let me just read you some of the things she says.
Do you have to?
She wants to step back and gather a date from the launch and work out exactly what as ever could be, right? But the other thing is that no one offered to give her some money. No one offered to share it or buy part of it because they didn't think it was any good. So that's why they're not doing it.
They didn't want to be associated with the brand. She said, but didn't she reckon that she, apparently friends are saying, she expected to, wants to become a billionaire. She wants to make serious money and, and be this successful entrepreneur. But everything she touches, whether it's, the podcast, whether it's the Netflix contract, the children's books, didn't she write at some point? None of it is
that's terrible. That if you saw that book, no sentence made proper sense. It was absolutely appalling, and it was about 2 sentences on each page. Let me read you the next thing.
Okay.
However, she might really move on and explore the category of fashion on a later date.
God.
I think it is an interesting place for me. If I had to write a resume of myself, I don't know what to call myself. I think it speaks to this chapter many of us find ourselves in, where none of us are one note, but I believe the notes I'm playing are part of the same song. I mean,
my God, this is genuinely, if this person came to my home, I would show them the door. I'd say, seriously, I can't have anyone this irritating and annoying. I mean, why doesn't she just... Thing is, I reckon she's looked like the Gwyneth Paltrows, and he was selling what... she actually sold candles scented like her vagina. For God's sake, the woman has made fortune. Not that she needed to, she is a multimillionaire, but she's made an absolute fortune doing this lifestyle brand and everything. And obviously Meghan thought she could do that.
Yeah, but you wait. Meghan is trying to get closer to her, and she's actually...
Good luck, Gwynnie. Run, Gwynnie, run.
They're close. They lived close, and I think it'll be the most wonderful row that will blow up.
Well, also because Meghan doesn't really keep friends. Now, let's talk about the relationship. Because she's been putting out a lot more pictures of the kids, but again, they're always sort of from behind, or in a beekeeper's suit and things like that. And she clearly wants privacy for her family, obviously, unless she doesn't want privacy for her family when she wants to make money. That hasn't gone down very well with a lot of people, has it? But also these occasional appearances of Prince Harry, who has very much become the +1 in this relationship, hasn't he?
Well, Prince Harry's a plus minus, I think. I mean, he's nothing.
And you used to love him, didn't you? You really liked and admired him when you
Well,
did
I
the
really
biography.
liked him because he was doing a great job, and he used to talk to people who were, been very badly wounded.
Yeah.
They came from a very poor family, and he could make them laugh and play.
He had his mother's touch.
But
Yeah.
now, but he also did his own speeches and everything. But now he has to obey Meghan. He absolutely has
Do
to.
you really
you
think
think?
it's like this? I don't like it when we always blame, the woman. There's this Lady Macbeth character that she's clearly risible, and she's clearly thinks she's far
But he
more
loves her so much. He just agrees to do everything.
And
he
lots
wants.
of men
I mean,
do.
he's
Happy
agreeing it.
wife, happy life.
No, he's not happy, though. If you look at him, you can see that. But I would like to ask you, what do you think of her taking her little 3-year-old to look at the bees? She wore a sort of the sort of mock.
Beekeeper's outfit, yeah.
But
I don't know. I was with friends at the weekend, and I'm not even. They didn't even force it on me. I asked for it. They had their first big batch of bees. They're keeping bees. Literally completely average home, in London, and they've been keeping the bees. Got their honey, absolutely lovely. But I'm not aware they've got any of the beekeeper outfits.
Yes, but usually you'd have somebody there to protect them. Harry wasn't there; he was in China, and there was no sort of expert there. So
You don't need an expert to go and get your honey from your bees.
Well, I think, she was all dressed up with covering, and actually, if you want to open it up and the bees go mad because they're angry, you could really be in a very...
Do you know what? On that, I'm defending Meghan. Why? This is what you've done to me, Angela. Angela, great fun. Always so good to talk to you. Thank you so much, Angela Levin, biographer.